Nobody warned him about the email. Nobody warned him about her either. Darnell Hayes had been senior pastor of Westside for 11 days when both of them arrived in the same week. One would threaten to undo everything Marcus built. The other would show him what Westside was supposed to become. He had no way of knowing which was which. Saturday, week 12. Inherited. A Westside story. Darnell Hayes had been preparing for this his whole life. That's what everyone told him. That's what Marcus told him. In the hospital, in the meetings, in 11 years of mentorship that felt like graduate school and therapy and discipleship all running at once. You've been ready for 2 years. I just wasn't ready to admit it. What nobody told him was that ready and prepared are two different things. He was ready. He had the theology, the vision, the relationships, the trust of the congregation. He had watched Marcus long enough to know what the job actually required. Not just the Sunday performance, but the Monday through Saturday grind of it. The hospital visits, the hard conversations, the budget meetings that ran until 10 at night, the emails that arrived at midnight from people in crisis. What he was not prepared for was inheriting someone else's unfinished business. It came on a Tuesday, day 11. The subject line said, "Something you need to know about Westside." No name in the sender field. Just an address Darnell didn't recognize. A string of numbers and letters that resolved to nothing when he searched it. He almost deleted it. He opened it instead. It was 3 paragraphs, specific, detailed. Names, dates, dollar amounts. Someone, the email didn't say who, had been redirecting funds from the building campaign for the past 2 years. Small amounts at first, then larger ones. Always routed through a vendor account that looked legitimate until you ran the tax ID number and found it belonged to a shell company registered to a Westside elder's brother-in-law. Darnell read it twice, then a third time. He sat in Marcus's old chair, his chair now, and stared at the wall for a long time. The building campaign. Marcus had launched it 6 months before the diagnosis. The new sanctuary, the expanded food pantry, the community center that was supposed to serve the neighborhood for the next 50 years. 1,200 people had given sacrificially. Families who couldn't afford it had given anyway because Marcus asked them to, and they trusted him. Someone had been stealing from it. And Marcus never knew. Or if he knew, Darnell stopped that thought before it finished forming. He was not going to let his mind go there. Not yet. He called his accountant. He called the church's attorney. He said, "I need you both here tomorrow morning. Don't tell anyone why." Then he closed his office door and sat in the quiet for a long time. He had been senior pastor for 11 days. The accountant found it in 4 hours. $230,000, moved over 19 months through 11 separate transactions, always just under the threshold that would have triggered an automatic audit flag. Whoever designed the scheme knew exactly how the church's financial controls worked. The elder's name was Raymond, 12-year member, founding elder, one of the men who had stood in the gymnasium on the first Sunday and helped set up the folding chairs. Darnell sat across from the attorney and the accountant in his office and felt the floor shifting beneath him. "Does Marcus's family know?" the accountant asked. "Marcus is gone," Darnell said. "His family doesn't need this." "Does the congregation need to know?" Darnell thought about 1,200 people who had given sacrificially, who had trusted, who had believed that the money they put in the plate was going towards something real. "Yes," he said, "but not until I've talked to Raymond first." The attorney started to object. Darnell held up his hand. "I'm not protecting him. I'm giving him the chance to do the right thing before I do it for him. One conversation. Then we go wherever the law takes us." He met with Raymond that evening. Raymond didn't deny it. He sat across from Darnell in the same office where he had sat across from Marcus for 12 years, and he didn't deny a single number. "I was going to pay it back," he said. Darnell looked at him for a long moment. "I know you believe that," Darnell said. "I need you to resign from the elder board tonight, and I need you to cooperate fully with our attorney and with whatever the law requires. If you do that, if you come clean completely, I will stand beside you through whatever comes next. I will not abandon you. But I cannot protect you from the consequences of what you did." Raymond nodded. He looked like a man who had been carrying something very heavy for a very long time and had just put it down. "Does the church know?" he asked. "Not yet," Darnell said. But they will. I won't lie to them. That's not who we are. He told the congregation the following Sunday, all of it, the amounts, the account, the elder's name. He stood at the pulpit Marcus had built and told 1,200 people the truth about something that happened on Marcus's watch and would be dealt with on his. The room was very still. Then a woman in the fourth row started to cry, not from grief, from relief. She said later she had suspected something for months and hadn't known who to tell or whether anyone would listen. She hadn't been the only one. The same week, someone else walked in, Wednesday evening, recovery ministry. Darnell wasn't supposed to be there. He had a budget meeting. The budget meeting ran short. For the first time in Westside history, a budget meeting ran short. And he found himself walking past the fellowship hall at 7:45 with nowhere urgent to be. He heard a voice through the door. He stopped. The voice belonged to a woman he didn't recognize. She was standing at the front of the recovery circle, i.e., 40 people in folding chairs, and she was telling her story, not the polished version, not the version you tell when you're 2 years out and the worst of it has become a chapter with a clean ending. The raw version, the version where she described the specific texture of the bottom she had hit and what it felt like to wake up in a hospital bed with her teenage daughter sitting beside her and realize she had almost not come back. The room was completely silent. Darnell stood in the doorway and listened. Her name was Constance. She had been attending Westside for 6 weeks, slipping in late, sitting in the back, leaving before anyone could introduce themselves. She had come to the recovery ministry the first time because her counselor told her she needed community, and this was the closest church to her apartment. She was not a Christian. She had said so, out loud, the first night she came. "I'm not sure I believe any of this, but I'm here because I don't know where else to go." The group had said, "That's enough. Stay." She stayed. 6 weeks of staying, and now she was standing at the front of the circle telling the truth about her life in a way that had every person in the room leaning forward. Darnell watched her for 10 minutes from the doorway. Then he went home and sat at his kitchen table and opened his Bible and thought about Rahab. A woman on the wrong side of the wall, wrong background, wrong history, wrong everything by the metrics the religious people would have used. And she saw more clearly than anyone inside the city what was actually happening, who God actually was, and she bet everything on a thread. Constance didn't have a scarlet cord. She had a folding chair in a recovery circle and 6 weeks of showing up when she wasn't sure she believed. Darnell thought, that is exactly the same thing. By the end of his first month, Darnell understood something Marcus had never said out loud, but had always known. The church is never what the leader builds. It is what the people bring. Raymond brought a hidden thing, and it surfaced on Darnell's watch and had to be dealt with in the light. That was painful. It cost the congregation money and trust and a founding elder and 3 months of hard conversations. It was not the first month anyone had imagined for a new senior pastor. Constance brought something different. She brought her real life, unpolished, unfinished, not yet certain what she believed, and set it down in a circle of folding chairs and let it be seen. And 40 people leaned forward, and 3 of them talked to Darnell afterward about people in their own lives they had been meaning to invite for years and kept finding reasons not to. Raymond was Achan, not because he meant to destroy anything, but because what he buried didn't stay buried. Constance was Rahab. She came from outside. She came uncertain. She came with a history that disqualified her by every conventional measure. And God was already at work in her long before Westside knew her name. Darnell had not planned either of them. He had not strategized or programmed or designed either outcome. He had simply shown up, opened an email he almost deleted, stood in a doorway, and listened to a voice he didn't recognize. Marcus used to say, "The leader's job is not to run the program. The leader's job is to stay close enough to God to recognize what he's already doing and get out of the way." 11 days in, Darnell was beginning to understand what that meant. Raymond resigned. The building campaign was audited. The missing funds were recovered over 18 months through restitution. Constance became a Christian 4 months later. She was baptized on a Sunday morning in front of 1,200 people. She is currently training to lead her own recovery group.